Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Welcome to it. Thanks for spending time on a Friday at Hail Varsity. We're presented by Currency for all your equipment financing needs. Go Currency. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. Hope you're doing all right. We loaded up a lot of travel news to tell you about with the Husker coaches in state and out of state. What's Joel Klatt think of Nebraska in 2023? And plenty to dive into as things could get ugly, and then some. A little payback maybe on Purdue's mind as Nebraska basketball tips off at 6 tonight. So plenty of college football, Nebraska thoughts, high school hoops, NFL. It's all happening today on Hail Varsity Radio. Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbel. Find us on Twitter at Schmidt_radio, at Herbal Essence for Elijah Herbel. And ways to get involved, pretty easy. Can dial up at 466-3776, 466-3776, toll free at 800-825-5865. Can email the show, chris@hailvarsity.com, and catch the show streaming live, different ways and platforms to do so. ESPN Lincoln, Facebook, and Twitter. The Hail Varsity YouTube channel, and as always, the Hail Varsity Twitter, Hail Varsity Radio Twitter, at HVarsity Radio. Give that a follow. Catch Coffee and Cream in the morning with Damon Benning and Andrew Rogers, 7 to 9 here in Lincoln and in Omaha. So it's uber busy. We'll get the basketball and prep rundown, and also some recruiting thoughts with some in-state talent from Jacob Padilla. Jacob with us in about 15 minutes on Hail Varsity Radio. In hour 2, Bill Doleman will join us. Jeremiah Sirles, former Husker, longtime NFLer, and Agent Sirles. It's like a 007 here. We need to get a new poster of Sirles or something beyond the there was these posters of Sirles where they were up around campus when he was a freshman. At Nebraska, because he was part of the, I don't want to say the tour guide group. Did you take the new student tour?
The new student enrollment tour, yeah.
Right. It wasn't quite the, did you ever see Road Trip, the movie? Tom Green.
We've talked about it on the show before, but no, I've never seen it.
So Sirles wasn't the Tom Green character, but there's pictures of Sirles pre-beard, khakis and collared shirt, and, oh, look, I'm in college, that expression. So he may beat me the next time he sees me, but point is Sirles will lay down some NFL thoughts with us this weekend.
And Agent Sirles, that sounds like straight out of, Threat Level Midnight. I can make it happen. I'd love to see Sirles as like a secret agent, like he's trying to be sneaky, but he's big and lumbering and can't hide behind the tree very well.
He's trying to be sneaky. Just ask how Bambi like taunts him this hunting season. I think, at least I haven't gotten any jerky. So Sirles with us, Brady Oltmans from Hail Varsity to round out your Friday. So what is happening? Who is where? And we'll ask this question about Xavier Betts as well. Get Jacob Padilla's thoughts. Is Xavier Betts back in play for Nebraska football? Chew on that. But you have Coach Donnie Raiola down in Arizona. He is visiting Bobby Newcomb's high school program, but Coach Rule and some staff going to be finding their way for sure to see Dylan Raiola if they haven't invaded yet. My mother lives west of Phoenix. I didn't ask her and Grandma to do a drive-by and give us visual confirmation, but that's a huge priority. Georgia's the first team to offer him. Georgia just won another championship. They're going to be tough to beat, but at least Nebraska has a dog in the fight with new staff and, of course, Uncle Donnie on the offensive line. But you know what, Elijah? Nebraska is going to put every ounce of effort in, not only to the Dylan Raiolas of the world, but other prospects they really like.
Well, I mean, did you see Matt Rule's tweets today? And the more this goes on, the more I'm wondering if Matt Rule's actually tweeting for himself. We need a secret
decoder.
I'm starting to wonder if this is a case of like, Matt Rule just texts his firm. I mean, with all the money he's making from the Panthers and from Nebraska, it probably makes sense for him to go
Brad's
hire
a Twitter guy or gal.
Yeah, and just text him like, hey, I'm going here. Make it emoji form and let me know. Let the people know what's going on. See if they can decipher it. Keep them on the edge. Keep on their toes on the edge of their seat with all my travels. I've been wondering that more and more because Matt Rule said before he's not a social media guy, but he sure acts like one on Twitter. So I wonder if he's got somebody doing it. Maybe that's like the scoop of the century to go find the guy that's running Matt Rule's Twitter and see if you can get the inside scoop on where Matt Rule's going. But I digress. Today he tweeted emojis of a plane flying over mountains, then another plane flying over what appears to be a desert scene with an eye emoji, 5 stars, and a football.
Well, that is clean. Denver didn't quite frankly take the direct. It's probably Denver to Phoenix.
Oh no! This is the head coach of Nebraska. He took the direct wherever he wanted to go.
So
he probably made a little stop.
He just
Colorado.
waved. He just waved at Coach Prime. Look where I'm going. I'm going to see a 5-star quarterback. Is that what he did? Did he tip the wing? Is he taunting Coach John Elway in Denver while he's at it? Huh?
I could not tell you with any certainty. Maybe he's visiting a prospect there. I think your version of events is much more fun, and that'd be like a great Mitch Sherman athletic story in 10 years of the time. Matt Rule went and reeled in Dylan Raiola and rubbed it in with Deion.
I'm going to go look at a 5-star quarterback. You can keep yelling at your kid. Moon Boot says hello from Denver. Moon Boot.
Have you seen Matt Rule?
No.
Moon Boot, let us know.
Jamarian Carlton getting his offer from Nebraska. Coach McGuire is checking in on the 2026 edge out of Temple, Texas. Ed Foley, loved Ed Foley's tweets last night as he met the Foltz family, was out in Grand Island. He is going to be in hot pursuit of talent in Ainsworth at tight end, of course.
Let's also note, got a hot dog with nacho cheese on top.
And jalapenos.
The proper way to eat a hot dog. You can add the jalapenos if you want, but the nacho cheese. You're signing. You gave me one of those tweets last week whenever I tweeted out the picture.
Drug test you.
Yeah, it's not a drug thing. It's a
I know,
a tasty thing.
No, you need to drug, dude. That is just too much diesel. In one setting, in one setting. Coach Barthel at West Side checking in on some prospects. Of course, plenty of incredible talent at West Side with Coach Lamonji. Caleb Benning, just a flat-out stud. Of course, you've got Lloyd and Elvano for 2023. But Christian Jones also a target, and then that backfield that is state title money. You have Anthony and Teddy Rizak. The Rizak boys are incredible, great ball players. So they're on that 2024 radar, which is good. Caleb Pyform is at Central. He's on the offensive line. So he's going to be looked at. I know Minnesota's been around there. Nebraska's out in full force today, which is great, but the emojis scream Arizona. And the desert, my little brain tells me that.
But do we have an update on has Nebraska stopped by and talked to Caleb Benning today? I wish there was somebody we could talk to figure out what's going on there.
Yeah,
It'd be great to have an inside source.
I didn't call or text Damon today. Hey, anyone stop by, say hi? No, I did not do that. We'll let the natural recruiting process happen. Winter conditioning gets rocking this week. So that is something to keep in mind. So from a portal standpoint, we'll talk to Brady Oltmans about this as well. Brett Seether is tight end out of Georgia. Okay. He has been minimally used. And as you would understand, your second favorite tight end in the world still has a year of eligibility left at Georgia.
2 years of eligibility left, actually. He's only got 1 year until he can go off to the NFL draft. And I mean, he could potentially, if he gets the NIL deals, he could stay for 2 more years at Georgia. Last year was his true freshman year. He's a true sophomore this year.
That is impressive. But Brett Seether, Georgia tight end, 6'5", 230, minimal use, but sounds like he'll be in Lincoln this weekend, if not here already. You have Ishmael Smith-Flores. Told you about him, the tight end. With the Iowa pedigree, a January 20th visit, the fight for Seether, the Georgia tight end between Nebraska and Georgia Tech. And then also you have MJ Sherman, I don't know if he can get after the quarterback as well as Mitch Sherman. But MJ is a minimally used, but another dude off the bus that's an outside linebacker that may be looking at Nebraska as well.
Well, what do you make of the Seether news? I do feel like Nebraska needs a tight end that's had a couple years in a college program. Whenever you look at Fedoni and his injury concerns, yeah, he's got a lot of talent, but also he hasn't really quite seen the field.
I like Rollins a lot.
Also another guy that hasn't really quite seen the field. I mean, the tight end you have returning with
the
most
Carney.
experience.
I like Carney. But I think we don't have.
You haven't seen any of those guys in the field. The only one you've really seen in the field is Borkacher.
Right. And Borkacher's still here. But yeah, do you want other options? Sure. Do you want other guys from big time programs? Sure. Why not? At least you want to use the tight end. You need to use the tight end in the offense with Volkolek moving on.
And Brewington as well.
Yeah, and Chancellor was so good for Nebraska, not just blocking, but made some big plays. Yeah, you go get him if you can. And quite honestly, Georgia doesn't really whiff on tight ends. They don't. And I'm not saying Nebraska has. There's just been a process in development, and that's okay. Carney's going to have a great opportunity to perform this year. He's been in the program a while. Everyone's starting at the same point with a new offense and new lingo. Fedoni needs to stay healthy, but once he does, I think he'll kill it. I think he'll be outstanding. He's that type of dude. He just has to stay healthy. And then Rollins, I loved what I saw in the spring game. I know that's just a snippet, but I thought it was pretty high level athleticism.
But I do look at that as a position where Nebraska probably does need an upgrade. Could you get by with the tight ends?
You need
I'm sure.
You need additional experience.
Yeah, I mean, Borkacher, he gave it his all last year, but it's not like he looked quite Big Ten ready, both from a blocking point of view and from a pass catching point of view. He got open decently, but he had some drop issues and didn't look like a guy who was necessarily Big Ten ready. And I'll give him props, and that's kind of what you want your walk-ons to do, is come in and get your all and at least be an option there, so it's not some third-team practice squad guy, and that's not what Borkacher was. He came in and performed admirably, but I still think if Nebraska wants a full 12 games from a tight end next year, you probably want an upgrade on a guy like Borkacher. And you need three. And you need more certainty than a guy like Fedoni. And I think the kid from Georgia, Seether? Mm-hmm. Seether, he's more of a blocking option based on his frame than Fedoni, where you look at 6'4", 240-plus pounds.
He's your H-back. Could be your H-back.
That's a good thought.
Could be your H-back. So let's talk Xavier Betts here. And the word, as we reached out to some folks, Betts was looking at Portland to Pitt. Okay. It sounds like Coach Rules reached out to him, and could or will Xavier Betts rejoin the team? It sounds like he's in the student directory. Question you ask yourself is, where is Betts at right now from a eligibility and a football standpoint? Where's he at academically? Now, it's not that he can't get back and write that. From all reports to us, as we've talked to some of the folks in his circle, I mean, Betts is super smart. He's just got to do the schoolwork, right? So it's not an academic challenge issue. From a scholarship standpoint, if you do get him, you got to put him on it. I mean, Nebraska's well above 90 right now with what they have. You're going to have some more departures after spring ball, but they are thin at receiver. They really, truly are. And Betts is that big body, deep threat ability who, in the year away, or almost a year away, has he fallen back in love with football? Is he tired of not being a part of a locker room and a team? Where's he at from a shape standpoint? Betts is a stud athlete, so I don't worry about him getting back in shape or even getting things righted academically to be eligible. It's is his heart in it for the long haul right now. If he's a guy that's got sick ability, which he does, but it's just not, he's good at it, but he doesn't love it, then don't do it. You don't have to do it. I mean, the whole world's saying, oh, you're wasting all this God-given ability. Totally get it. But if your heart's not in it, then don't do it. But time away may have had him kind of just snap into focus and say, man, this is something that I'm good at. I can change my life with. And oh yeah, by the way, there's now NIL.
Well, and a point that I keep coming back to is it almost reminds me of a situation where you ever seen that couple that they've been dating for 2 years and then they break up out of nowhere and you go, where did this come from? And they're both just having an awful time for 2 months. And then, they're back together. And 3 months later, they're engaged. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time away to realize what you've lost. And I wonder if that's the case with Betts, where he thought, you know what? My life has moved to a point where I don't want to be worrying about football every single day. And then you take a year off, you watch college football, you watch NFL, and you realize there's a big hole in your life and you need to get it back. I wonder if that's where he's at right now. And you can come back from that and have more motivation than when you left after realizing what you actually had and what you let slip away to now want to come back and get that second chance. So, I mean, personally, I think you
absolutely take him. I
exactly.
think you talk to your captains or guys that you feel good about, and you get the take there. Of course, you had the award dinner last night in Omaha where T.O. and Coach Rule got to break bread. That was really pretty cool. Was that Wednesday night? That was Wednesday night. And then, of course, you got the Remington this weekend in Lincoln. You have Brando's Sports World again saying what's up from Hastings. And also Brando's calling a shot, revenge on the Boilermakers tonight. Brando, I love you. I want some of what you're drinking, brother. Pass it. Yeah, Jacob next on Husker Hoops, and Xavier Betts. Hail Varsity continues.
Hail Varsity is a must-have for true Husker fans. Get a monthly magazine that'll make checking the mail fun again. Daily analysis, the breaking news, including the inside scoop on recruiting on hailvarsity.com. And every June, that's right, every June, you'll get the Nebraska Football Yearbook, a season preview completely dedicated to Nebraska football. That's as comprehensive as national previews. Remember, get to hailvarsity.com.
Making Moves is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs.
After redshirting his first year at Ohio State, Joe Burrow spent the next 2 years as J.T. Barrett's backup. With Dwayne Haskins on the roster, Burrow didn't see much playing time and decided to transfer. LSU head coach Ed Orgeron zeroed in on Burrow and landed him. In his second season at LSU, Burrow led the Tigers to a 15-0 record, a national championship, and arguably the best season ever by a college quarterback.
Build your winning team today. Go to linkedin.com/sports.
You know that feeling when your football team adds that one player with every skill they've been looking for? It's time your business knew how it felt too. LinkedIn Jobs taps into a network of over 850 million professionals to find the right people for your role. LinkedIn Jobs helps you narrow down to the most qualified candidates so you can start hiring the right people. Go to linkedin.com/sports to post your job for free. That's linkedin.com/sports. Terms and conditions apply.
New message.
Your social security number has been suspended. If you do not contact us, your account will be deactivated.
Scammers are aggressive when they contact a potential victim. Social Security Administration employees will never threaten you for information or promise benefits in exchange for information. In those cases, the call is fraudulent and you should just hang up. Don't provide any personal or financial information to these thieves. Call the Social Security Fraud Hotline at 1-800-269-0271.
Wait, Joe, that stinks.
Girl, that ain't me. That's January. And January stinks because it's cold, boring, and I can't afford a slow start. So to speed things up, I have to do something absolutely crazy, like turning the entire month at Capital City Automax into Drive for 5.
What's Drive for 5?
Drive away today for just $5 down or get up to $5,000 more than appraised value for your trade. January stinks, so help me deodorize with Drive for 5. Does your credit stink? Don't worry. My one and only For the People credit approval process works because I understand bad things happen to good people, and that stinks. Don't keep driving a car or truck you hate.
That stinks.
Trade with me today and get up to $5,000 more than it's worth. Not enough for down payment?
That stinks.
So drive away today in a nicer, newer car for as low as $5 down. But hurry, January stinks only until the end of the month. That's when I wipe this deal clean. I'm Joe Clemens, and I'm your dealer For the People. Come see us at Capital City Automax in Lincoln. Or online at approvedbyjoe.com. Approvedbyjoe.com. www.approvedbyjoe.com.
Vehicle purchase price, effects, actual trade allowance, all terms subject to approval, some minimum requirements.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity, as we are gearing up for a Friday. Jacob Padilla is with us from hailvarsity.com and magazine at Jacob Padilla _. Jacob, it's been a week or two. How's the wrist? Let's see the hand.
Well, yeah, it's
okay.
I should probably put my splint back
Better?
on here.
Put the splint on. Play
Wait,
hurt.
you're doing a radio interview here. You're worried
You
about
gotta-
like putting your wrist in a compromised position, sitting in a
No,
chair.
I'm just supposed to wear it all the time, and I'll take it off occasionally just to give it a break. Because
that's
anyway, people don't. It's not great radio. I got to go back in a few more weeks.
But
it's not
we're
healing super
streaming.
fast.
We're streaming, and we're still waiting on that invite to sign your rep.
Well, it's also smart here to keep that thing on. You never know when you could be facing attackers. It could be at the time you least expect it, sitting down in a chair doing a radio interview. That's when they'll get you.
Yeah, Jacob is not worried about that.
I mean, Secret Agent Sirles could be busting through that door.
Yeah, right. Jacob, let's start off with Purdue, Nebraska tonight, and we'll kind of get around to some of the prep visits on the recruiting trail with Nebraska, and then also high school preps is where we're going to go. But man, going to be tough duty tonight. Were you a little surprised yesterday with Fred? And Fred wasn't wrong, but it was unFred-like with his take on some of the officiating, specifically with what and how Walker was whistled.
Yeah, you don't often hear coaches coming back afterward, especially in maybe on a play that kind of significantly impacted the final result or whatever. Obviously, yeah, not playing with Walker hurt Nebraska in that first half, but that wasn't why they lost that game. So yeah, that was. I'm trying to remember exactly how we got to that point, because he kind of
came up.
Yeah, he kind of got there by answering another question. But yeah, it's certainly understandable. The coaches would be frustrated when you go back and watch film and see a call that did impact the way the game played out, where it's an assumption call where the official assumed that there was contact there where there really wasn't.
No contact at all.
Yeah. So that's not you don't hear it a ton, but I think it's just again, I don't remember how exactly we got to that point, but hopefully I think they're going to need to avoid any of those kinds of calls tonight for sure.
Well, Jacob, whenever you look at that game on Tuesday night, Walker's absence, being forced to sit on the bench in foul trouble, was obviously a big issue. But then you also had the injury to Juwan Gary, the shoulder issue, which is still going to hold him out tonight. When you look at those two issues combined, obviously it's bad news for Nebraska. But which, in a vacuum, do you think matters more for this Husker basketball team moving forward? That Derek Walker stay out of foul trouble in games moving forward, or that you get Juwan Gary back from injury?
Definitely Gary. I mean, Walker, some games he gets in foul trouble, other games he stays out there for 30 plus minutes. So it's not necessarily like Wilhelm Breinbach struggles to avoid committing fouls. Derek isn't quite in that same. It's kind of random when he gets in foul trouble versus when he doesn't. Gary, they certainly need him out there. This is a team that doesn't have a ton of talent to begin with. So when you're missing 9.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 1.5 steals from your lineup, that's hard to replace. Wilhelm Breinbach has been playing better recently, and that's good to see. Over his last 6 games, he's averaging almost 8 points a game, shooting well, over 50% from the field, 5 of 13 from 3, hitting his free throws too. So he's been, hopefully he's kind of turned a corner at this point in his career, and it's not just kind of a peak amid a season full of peaks and valleys, but because they're going to need him a lot. And then Denham Dawson, he's the guy that can most closely replicate what Gary brings, just in terms of body, skill set type of deal. But Dawson is not yet ready to impact the game the way that Juwan Gary does as a redshirt freshman now. So going to need more out of him. He's scored 19 total points this season, including 8 in the Omaha game, which was the second game of the season. So he's not a guy that has given them much production. He's gone out there and given you some hustle plays here and there, but that's about it. And with Gary out of the lineup, you need a little bit more than just a few hustle plays. And Hoiberg said he'll get a chance to play some extended minutes here. So it's up to him to be able to step up and give them a little bit more than he has to this point.
Yeah, I think we're under the assumption here that Denham Dawson's going to be the guy who steps into the starting lineup tonight, Jacob. But if this becomes a situation where Nebraska gets down by 10 points in the first half, which is very possible against this potent Purdue offense. Do you think Nebraska tries to go offensive and maybe gets Kisei and CJ on the floor at the same time? What do you think they do to try to mitigate that loss of Juwan Gary? Because as you said, I don't think Denham Dawson by himself is going to be able to replace the big shoes of Juwan Gary.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see which way they go with that starting lineup. Hoiberg mentioned he kind of liked the role that Breidenbach is playing, and Dawson did start the second half, although Breidenbach had 3 fouls at that point too, so I'm sure that impacted the decision. But Hoiberg said it'll be a game time call for that. They're going to go through their shoot around today, think about it, and then decide which way they wanted to go. So it'll be one of those two, and then we'll see. I think they'll play it by ear moving forward in terms of how many minutes each play. Breidenbach is the primary backup 5-2 as Blaze Keat is still kind of working his way back from that injury. He has not looked quite ready to make a positive impact since he's gotten back out there. So that's something else that Hoiberg's going to have to manage, and that could end up leading to lineups where they do play small, like you mentioned, playing more of those guards. And now Sam Griesel has to take on defending power forwards. I mean, there was a lineup at the end of that half, obviously, again, with the injuries, the foul trouble and everything. Bandamel had 2 fouls, Walker 2 fouls, Gary hurt, where he had Griesel, Tominaga, Wilcher, Lawrence, and Dawson as the 5 out on the court, which I don't think that he ever anticipated rolling out a lineup like that coming into the season. But that's where they got at that point in the game. So they're going to have to get creative. He was a big part of their effectiveness against Purdue the last time they played, although he didn't have a great offensive game, I don't believe, himself in that one. But he was one of the guys that was there double teaming, making life difficult for Zach Edey inside, where they held him to a season low 11 points. And so they're going to have to find some way. I mean, they played about as well as they possibly could have defensively last time. And again, Gary was part of that and still came up short. So they're going to need kind of an outlier performance in order to get it done tonight. Somebody's got to get hot offensively and stay hot. It can't just be a guy hits a couple of shots and then it kind of goes away. They got to have somebody scoring 17, 19, 20 some points in order to have a chance in this one. I mean, I think Tominaga, he had 19 off the bench the first time they played him. They need 2 guys to do that. They need a couple guys to be going in order to score enough points in this one. And that's not something that we've really seen from them outside of a few. Obviously, you had 3 guys going against Minnesota with Walker, Juwan Gary, and Sam Griesel. So you need your best players to step up and play well, and then you need somebody else like a Tominaga, like a Wilcher, someone who hasn't necessarily been consistently productive to step up and have a big game in order to compete.
Jacob Padilla is with us, HailVarsity.com and magazine. Find Jacob on Twitter at Jacob Padilla _. Jacob, I'm going to focus in on West Side here real quick and kind of get your reaction with Tony White being at West Side for a little bit today, and just overall the Metro, the job Nebraska staff doing, your reaction to that, and also give me your gut here on Nebraska sitting down and having a couple of discussions with Xavier Betts on a potential and possible return.
Yeah, I mean, no real change since the last time we discussed it. They're continuing to do it. They're continuing to put in the due diligence. Anytime they get a chance, they're making sure that they've got local places on their lists, on their itinerary, sending people out to the schools. I saw what Tony Wright was at Omaha North too, with Tyson Terry there and some other young guys. And so it's not just all right, new job. We got to go shake hands, show our faces at the new places, and that'll be good enough. Like it's part of what they plan to do. They plan to be present, and that's the most important thing in establishing those good relationships and making a good impression on the players, the coaches, all the people giving the recruits advice about where to go, how to handle their recruitment. So it is important, again, with these new coaches in particular, to get out there, to show their faces, to make it a consistent effort. And we know how much talent Westside has with Caleb Benning, the Rezaks, Christian Jones. There's a lot of very talented players there. So it's certainly a place that I think you're going to see Nebraska pop up again and again as these contact periods continue to be open.
As for Betts,
and then and then I was gonna say, and then on Xavier Betts, certainly interesting. Again, we don't know where Xavier is at this point, where the headspace he's in. I know it kind of got to the burnout stage. It seemed like with football when he decided to step away from the program, evidenced by the fact that he, I believe, just left school, didn't look to go in a portal, didn't look to go just start over somewhere else. He just wasn't playing football. And now, I guess, time away, a year away from it, maybe that fire's come back. And as long as he's taking care of business, doing what he needs to do away from the field to make a return to the program and college football viable, then it's worth at the very least investigating, putting out feelers, seeing like, all right, where are you at? What are you interested in doing? Because from a skill set standpoint, we know he's a perfect fit for what Matt Rule wants. And we know this is a guy that has been productive for this program before. So definitely, if he shows interest in return to college football, it's something where you have to reach out, put out some feelers, have a conversation, see kind of where he's at, do your homework, because obviously Rule doesn't have a previous relationship with him. So that's something where they got to figure out, all right, is this someone that fits what we want to do from a personality standpoint, from all those types of things? Because, I mean, obviously looking at the film, there's a fit from that standpoint.
Jacob, can you hang on and can we get a prep roundup from you a couple minutes on the other side? Is that good with you?
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Jacob Padilla is standing by. Another segment with Jacob here. We'll get his take on what a wild night of basketball in Omaha, Lincoln, and the surrounding communities out in central Nebraska as well. So we'll get Jacob's take, and a busy weekend tonight. More Metro action to highlight. I know you got a showdown going on with Southwest and North Star tonight. Mm-hmm. I brought Junior's piggy bank in to try and bribe Motzi to let me do that one tonight. I got the get out of here.
You want Waverly and Bennington? That's where I'm at.
That's where you're going?
Yeah.
I would. I would, absolutely. Except that she did make me promise to take her to dinner tonight.
The wife, yeah.
Maybe I can injure my hand with a stapler. Jacob Padilla is on the way with Hail Varsity. Oh,
at the UPS store, we know this upcoming holiday is when things can get busy for small business owners.
Exactly. My to-do list and I don't take days off.
That's why you can count on us to be open and ready to help with every small business need, whether it's packing and shipping or if it's just to check your mailbox.
That's almost everything on my to-do list. My list and I can take the day off.
Your local, the everything to help you be unstoppable store, the UPS store. Be unstoppable. The UPS store locations are independently owned. Product, services, pricing, and hours may vary. See Center for details.
With one of the best savings rates in America, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. And with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One and member FDIC.
Menards is your complete bathroom renovation headquarters. Lions has what you need to give your bathroom a fresh, updated look. Shop the largest selection of bathtubs and showers, including over 200 showers, bathtubs, and surrounds, which are a great way to start your remodel. You're sure to find the perfect one to fit your style and budget. Start your next project today and save big money on all Lions bath and shower products at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
Hello, neighbor. It is Animal, 4 Super C convenience stores where they feature Township 9 coffee, named for the township charter territory we now know as Lincoln, Nebraska. With a Super C punch card, I buy 5 coffees or fountain drinks and I get the 6th one free. And you can too. Start your day with a hot mug of Township 9 coffee. Choose your favorite flavor from Hazelnut Hill to Twisted Creek, or sample the seasonal blends. Get up and get your morning started right at any of the Super C 10 locations, where they're always happy to see you in the mornings.
It's Christy with Good Life Fitness and GoodLifeFit.com. If you've never been to Good Life Fitness before, we're a gym that is for everyone. We believe that fitness changes lives. From classes to personal training, we've got the tools to help you succeed. Your fitness journey can start today. With over 160 classes per week, we found that members have a much higher success rate when they work out with others just like you. Good Life Fitness doesn't have any contracts or initiation fees, so you've got nothing to lose. #1 gym, Best of Lincoln for 6 years in a row. Good Life Fitness, GoodLifeFit.com.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you at Hail Varsity Friday edition. Don't forget weekend edition tomorrow morning, 7 to 9 a.m. locally in Lincoln. Jacob Padilla joins us here. Jacob, what a ball game last night. Gretna and Westside. I had Southeast and Pius. That was well played. That was quite a bit of fun. And then you had in Lincoln, you had North Star and Northeast kind of flipped the switch. What stuck out to you on the prep schedule last night? What are you looking forward to this weekend?
Yeah, I was at Westside Gretna last night and really impressed with what I saw from Gretna, especially their defense. They had a great game plan for Westside, and they executed at a really high level. Bill Hurd does a great job organizing their defense. The associate head coach, I guess you could call him for Brad Feakin there at Gretna. And Westside just didn't really have an answer the entire game. It was close in the second quarter. Westside tied it up, and then Gretna scored the next 12 points, 9-0 run and a half, and then hit a three-pointer to start second half, and it was double digits the rest of the way. So Gretna looking like a clear number 2. They're 10-1, and the only team that scored above 57, well, above 52 on them in regulation is Prep, and their lone loss of the season during that holiday tournament run. So Gretna is looking really impressive. Obviously, Bellevue West continuing to roll at the top of the class, but Gretna is a firm number 2 at this point. And then Lincoln, I don't know what to make of the city at this point. Again, Lincoln High, they go win the hack, and then they immediately drop their next game, and then they win again, and then they go and lost to Northeast, right? Northeast won that one. So Lincoln High is at 9-3. You've got East kind of pushing along there at 8-2. Win over Kearney with big fourth quarter last night. That's a really good win for them. They have the best record of any teams in Lincoln, but then they suffered the upset early in the hack tournament when they were hosting. So I don't know what to think about the Lincoln hierarchy at this point. It just seems like you got 4 or 5 teams, any game, any day, any of those teams could win.
It's a fair take, and it makes it really entertaining. And Southeast, I know, is back to 6-6. Pius entered in at 7-4, but Southeast has got some dudes, and they have the ability night in, night out, just like Pius, and should be extremely entertaining as we wind it down.
Yeah.
Before we get you out, excuse me, you can go for it.
No,
I want to get your take on Bellevue West. They're still undefeated this year, and I got the chance to see them once. Where they really wowed me was defensively, and I thought maybe somebody would be able to get them on a night where they weren't shooting the ball very well. But with that defense, it just feels like they're going to be in every single game that they play this year, and their talent is phenomenal. Are they head and shoulders above the rest of Class A at this point in time, or do you think that the rest of the field will start catching up to what they've been doing so far this year?
No, I think they've established themselves. They're ahead, and big Bellevue West Gretna matchup looming in the Thunderdome coming up next week, I believe it is. But for the 1 versus 2 there. But yeah, Bellevue West, you mentioned someone catches them on an off shooting game. That's what happened in the Metro final with Creighton Prep, and could not buy one from deep. They were down in the first quarter. It was a close game at halftime, and then second half they just pulled away because of that defense and just smothering They ran West Side off the court in the semis for the same reason, just no airspace. They pressure the ball so well. They're so disciplined. They switch, they communicate, they help. They've got good size up and down the lineup. And then Josiah Dosler is a game changer. Jaden Jackson is a game changer. Both that's as tough a backcourt as there is in the state. And then they've got guys inside like Robbie Garcia as a sophomore, Jacob Barope as a junior coming off the bench, who'd be starting at any other Class A team in the state. And they've got him coming off the bench because of the depth of talent. And he had an injury coming into the year, so I think he would be starting. But Robbie Garcia has kind of grabbed on that spot and performed well as a sophomore. So really tough 1-2 punch in the middle, great backcourt, and really tough disciplined defense makes for a clear number one team in the state right now.
Jacob Padilla with us. Jacob, we'll get caught up next week. Thanks for your time and insight as always. And real quick, tell the folks they can read you obviously with HailVarsity.com and magazine, but also you're busy, man. You and Damon podcasting, and also you got a prep podcast as well, a second podcast.
Yeah. So you want to hear more of my thoughts on the prep basketball in particular right now? Look up Nebraska Preps post game over the Herd at Sports Crew. And then my Nebraska Shoot Around podcast I host with my buddy Jacob Bigelow, focusing entirely on Nebrasketball. And we work in the women's team as well. Bring on Hail Varsity Drake Keeler there to kind of provide us some updates there after some big wins and things like that. So those are other places. Kind of look those up. You can find them to hear more of my takes if for some reason you would like to do that. But yeah, mostly you follow me on Twitter at @JacobBadell_ Hail Varsity, of course.
And I just want to say quickly, Jacob and Jacob, two of the best basketball minds I've ever been around. I had a one class with Jacob Bigelow in college, and the entire time he was sitting on his laptop, like watching Huddle basketball highlights and reading basketball articles the entire time. So I just want to say those two guys, very, very smart.
But to his credit, he still went to class.
He was there. Yeah, he was there for roll call.
Jacob, take care, bud. Thanks for the time. There he is, Jake Padilla with us here on Hail Varsity. Bill Doleman's 20 minutes away. We'll tell you about another team that may be finding its way into Omaha from the Big Ten. That's coming up. Stay tuned for that. Brady Oltmans tweeting out the Nebraska assistant salaries are available. They've been out about 20 minutes or so. We've been talking ball, though. Satterfield at $1.4 million. Coach White, $1 million. Coach Cooper at $670,000 a year. Not Matt Foley, but Coach Foley at $550,000. You have Coach Campbell at $450,000. Pot Roast at $400,000. Donnie Raiola at $325,000. And Barthel at $285,000.
So we still don't know what 24-year-old Garrett McGuire is going to be making.
We don't, but it's still pretty awesome at age 24. I think I might have been doing $17.5 at age 24 up in South Dakota. Not counting $35 talent fees for basketball.
Those add up.
Well, they do if you're doing 6 games a week.
Well,
it worked.
As soon as we get press availability with Garrett McGuire, I want someone to ask him, what did you buy with your first big boy paycheck at Nebraska? Because he's been coaching, but to be a full-time Power 5 assistant, I wonder what he's buying with that first paycheck. And I wonder if it's something I would buy, like a PlayStation, something an average 24-year-old would buy, or if he's got different mindset altogether being a Power 5 position.
I don't know what, when I was 24, it was, do I get a night off from running a ball game and let's go grab dinner with the fiance? Let's save some money so we can pay off her freaking ring. Love you, dear. Really do.
You said that.
really do love you. I don't know if I had just bleep you money at 24. Oh, it could be fun.
Buying a Ferrari?
No, I'm
Corvette guy. You a Corvette guy?
Dad was. He loved his Corvettes. We'll wind down hour one. Hail Varsity continues.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I've made around $200.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app.
Download the Upside app to earn back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TRAVEL for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TRAVEL for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TRAVEL for 25 cents per gallon cash back on your first fill-up.
It's not easy being the one everyone counts on to keep your operation running, no matter the weather or supply chain hiccup. But we get you, Raymond in Buffalo, Maria in Miami, and Jules in Troy, taking control of everything that's under your control. At Grainger, we're here for you with high-quality supplies for every industry, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
I'm weatherology meteorologist Patrick McMillan with your capital city forecast. For tonight, partly cloudy skies and a low of 25 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and a high of 47. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy with a low of 33 degrees. That's the forecast on Lincoln's ESPN. Right now, it's 32.
Boys basketball Friday night. Bennington is at Waverly. You can join Will Wilson for the play-by-play. Coverage begins at 7:20 right here.
ESPN Lincoln, FM 1015, 1480 AM. Chime in 402-466-ESPN or email the show, Chris@HailVarsity.com. Just try me. Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
So we'll get to some Joel Klatt here towards the end of the show. His take on Nebraska and could they be the biggest and best climber in 2023. John Rothstein tweeting this out about 8 minutes ago. Sam Griesel out for tonight's game against Purdue. Sammy averaging 11 and 5, and then 4 assists a game. He's got a hip issue, so the hits keep on coming for Fred and company. That's no good. Nebraska tips at 6. Mitch Sherman's tweet here: when it comes to the coaches' salaries, you have $4.63 million of the $7 million pool. That is the number. Coach Campbell, the strength and conditioning does not count towards the allotment of assistants. And for 3 assistants not released. So you put that 3 into the 2.67, you have some more money to spend on additional staff. So Rule's been, I don't want to say conservative with what he's handed out because both your coordinators are making coordinator money, and Satterfield at 1.4. That said, the rest of the guys on staff, I mean, it's straight up, it feels out of, I love working for this guy. I'm loyal to this guy. I want to build with, with this Nebraska staff moving forward. So we told you that Minnesota was by Westside today a little earlier, along with Coach White. And, Iowa's had success. Minnesota has infiltrated Nebraska. Iowa State's done well in the state of Nebraska. And then, of course, you got the North Dakota States and South Dakota States, two incredible programs that have played for championships and won championships, that kids that back in the day would have walked on and starred for Nebraska typically, or possibly they're going to the Dakota schools to go kill it, and the NFL will find them. Well, one more program to look out for when it comes to some of Westside's studs is Michigan State. You're like, well, how the hell does Michigan State fit into here? You have TJ Hallowell, former linebacker for Nebraska. If you remember that, Hallowell was a really talented backer. I think finished up in 2003, was a senior as a linebacker under Bo, and also just really talented guy. Obviously a Nebraska guy, and he's been at Coastal Carolina, but he's support staff now for Michigan State. So he is somebody that is no doubt touching with his Husker contacts, and Michigan State really wants to be in Nebraska. Michigan State is somebody that's going to go hard after Christian Jones. They are smart football guys. Mel Tucker, look what he did with the portal roster management, right? With Kenneth Walker in that 11-2 season. Mel Tucker sees talent, knows talent. Don't kid yourself. They're going to go hard after Benning, because you could make a strong argument that Benning's top offensive and defensive player in the state, special teams as well. He's a game changer, proven. So Sparty, we've been used to Fleck and his crew. Iowa's done well. Sparty wants to be in Nebraska. Keep that in mind. Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman's on the way. It's Hail Varsity Hour 2 coming up.
Anyone who has ever needed self-storage knows what a hassle it can be. You have to rent or borrow a truck and then find someone to help you move your stuff. And let's face it, moving furniture and heavy items without damaging them isn't easy. Renting the unit is worse. The hidden fees and admin costs are scarier than the dingy facilities you're leaving your stuff in. Why not use Closet Box instead? Closet Box is self-storage without leaving home. They'll pick up your belongings, store them securely, and bring any item back when you need it. The best part? Unlike traditional self-storage, you only pay for what you store. No paying for unused storage space. Closet Box's background check storage movers are licensed, bonded, and insured and will take care of all of the heavy lifting. Closet Box's local storage centers are temperature controlled and monitored 24/7. Closet Box has an A+ rating from the BBB. Call 877-233-5696 now for the season's best rates. Get $50 off first month storage using code RADIO50. That's 877-233-5696. 877-233-5696.
What happens when students come to school every day on time and ready to learn? They improve academically, become more responsible, manage their time well, and learn the value of education. Whether your child is starting preschool or preparing to graduate, family support and a great attitude towards education is important. Help your child come to school every day ready to learn. Make this the best school year yet.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
Good afternoon from the 1011 Newsroom. I'm Cole Miller. Coming up, 2 big drug busts on I-80 land 4 people in jail. One stop alone, netting more than 50,000 suspected fentanyl pills. Plus, a Lincoln family receives a warm gift during these cold winter months. And it's Captivating America, the latest on that $1 billion-plus Mega Millions jackpot. These stories and more tonight.
From the John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Studios, this is KLMS Lincoln, the capital city's Husker authority.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Chargers wideout Mike Williams is out for tomorrow night's wildcard playoff game against the Jaguars. Williams has a small fracture in his back from the regular season finale against the Broncos. ESPN's Lindsey Theory reports unless the Chargers make a long playoff run, Williams' season could be over. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson won't play in Sunday's game against the Bengals, and ESPN's Field Yates believes there might be a difference of opinion between Jackson and the team.
My interpretation, to borrow Fitz's word, would be that the Ravens seem to think Lamar is fairly close to returning, and Lamar's absence from practice in his tweet last night does not seem to reflect that.
Field Yates on Fitz and Harry. Rams head coach Sean McVay will stay on the job next year after mulling over his future. Last year, McVay signed a contract extension through the 2026 season. ESPN's Jeff Passan reports the Padres will sign outfielder Juan Soto to a one-year, $23 million contract to avoid arbitration.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier to help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Hey, it's Rob Kelly, the suit from ESPN Lincoln, and I'd like to alleviate your fears. Let's just say you're trapped in a broken elevator full of deadly snakes, or a cargo plane blows an engine and crashes right into your home. Or you're taken hostage by a rogue band of jungle rebels and locked in a bamboo cage. Don't worry, you can always listen to our shows that you missed. Just listen to our podcasts. They're on demand right now at espnlincoln.com.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-983-3759 now. I'm here with spokesman for the firm, John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call in.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here with you. We always enjoy answering the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault, give us a call right now. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-983-3759.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now to speak with a live agent for free. Call 800-983-3759.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
Make a New Year's resolution that's easy to keep. Help protect your identity and finances with LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. LifeLock detects identity threats you may miss on your own. And if you become a victim, LifeLock will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. Join now and save up to 25% off your first year. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS.
Today on Hey Culligan, reverse to reduce. Here's Bob.
Hey Culligan, I love fresh water, but I got plastic bottles coming out.
Whoa, Bob, you are not kidding about the bottles. But did you know Culligan's reverse osmosis and always-on drinking water systems provide fresh, clean, delicious drinking water and help reduce the equivalent of over 15 billion plastic bottles from landfills worldwide?
Holy, fresh, environmentally friendly drinking water. Am I right?
Right, Bob. And we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
For America's wounded warriors, sometimes coming home can be a battle in itself. Every one of them needs our support to meet the challenges they face every day. The USO provides Americans a way to offer that support to our wounded warriors and their families. Join us. Visit USO.org to learn how you can make a difference in their lives. The USO, until everyone comes home.
Hey, couch potatoes. Want to slim down without a lot of work? With Limitless Male new weight loss treatment, you lose the weight without special diets or strenuous exercise. Our life-changing semaglutide weight loss peptide is FDA approved. You won't be hungry. Curb your appetite and get back to your fighting weight. Lose as much as 15% body fat over 28 weeks. Say goodbye belly fat. Schedule your free consult at limitlessmale.com.
James Hall, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
As utility costs rise, now is the time to replace your old system. Call Wellman Heating and Air Conditioning to learn how an efficient Carrier home comfort system can save you money on utilities over the life of the equipment. And ask Wellman about Carrier equipment that can clean the air in your home. Don't hesitate. Supplies may be limited. Financing is available. Carrier offers and rebates will vary. See Wellman for details. Turn to the experts. Wellman Heating and Air, your factory authorized dealer for Carrier products at wellmanheating.com.
Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Back with you, Tower 2 at Hail Varsity. We're presented by Currency. For all your equipment financing needs, go Currency. Big thanks to Jacob Padilla in hour 1, Jeremiah Sirles in 20 minutes. We welcome in the Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports, the Professor Bill Doleman. Dole, what's behind you? What office building? And again, you can stream the show, Hail Varsity YouTube, and then the Hail Varsity Radio Twitter handle at HVarsity Radio, where you catch us, and then, of course, Coffee and Cream, Damon and Andrew in the mornings. What's behind you? That's a good backdrop.
Like, I can tell you, there's the parking garage on top.
Actually, I think that's the Children's Museum.
Okay,
right across the way here, which is where the College of Journalism and Mass Communications has its experience labs, where people like. Double underscore probably gets a little more experience so that when he comes on the air with you, he's a polished professional.
Well, I remember taking Junior through the TV lab of the Children's Museum. Now, I tried to leave him at the Children's Museum and run to O Street, and I was tased by my wife, and I had to come back and do family time versus happy hour.
But they gave Doleman a good office up there. See, I know that's the parking garage, the apartments on top. That's across from the lead center over the left shoulder.
Ooh, so you're right by. Yeah. Okay, so
it looks like you're up on the third floor of the College of Journalism. Say you're on second floor. You're right next to the radio station and whatnot.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm right where all the action is, as well as many of the nice downtown locations that I recall. Stumbling to and stumbling out of, just a couple of short decades ago.
Well, you're going to need some.
I know the neighborhood well, if you know what I mean. And it hasn't changed very much since then.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You were talking about Michigan State a little bit ago as they're trying to make their presence felt in Nebraska with some of the West Side prospects. Matt chimes in, is Junior going to go up to Michigan State because of Carson's obsession with Michigan State? Dear friend Jack Ebling, radio and print Hall of Famer that we've been able to connect with, has covered Michigan State for years. He has thrown out the offer of getting Junior a spot as a team manager with Sparty basketball, as long as Izzo's still there, and then also an internship with Jack on his radio show. And
that's
right now,
pretty good offer.
Yeah, we're working on pitching lessons for Junior right now.
So Michigan State just doesn't stop plucking talent out of Nebraska. Look at that. That's incredible.
Wait a minute. I thought I've heard on most television networks, one with 4 letters, that there's nothing in Nebraska. Nobody knows how Nebraska can turn it around, and there's no talent here, and there's nothing here. It sure does seem like a lot of schools have discovered that some of the best talent, best hardworking talent in the country can be found right here in the Midwest in Nebraska. 100 years ago, I've said this before, Sean Ridley and Larry Station went to Iowa. Danny Goodwin went to Iowa State, and that was basically it. But it sure is interesting that if there's no talent and there's nothing to do in Nebraska, how a whole lot of the major schools around the country have been finding themselves into Nebraska to pluck away good talent when let's face it, that talent may have been ignored by the powers that be down the block or across campus who are no longer here. I'm getting the firm impression that the current staff sure doesn't want to see those players leave because they're very talented.
No, and I thought it was a good moment on social media with Coach Rule and T.O. at the dinner table together. Nebraska fans loved that. Coach Foley with Mr. Foltz, that was heartwarming last night as well. But their action is not just for show. I mean, they're scouting, and time will tell when it comes to development and wins on the field. But man, they're hitting the right notes thus far. And every time an assistant coach steps forward, 2 per week, it feels like that's what it's been. They know what they're saying. And it looks like they know what they're doing based on their track record. So I think the Husker fans, Bill, are afraid to get hurt again. You know what I mean? But man, they really like what they're seeing right now.
I can't think of I'm big on perception and reading between the lines, and I cannot think of a misstep so far. And maybe there's 1 or 2, but nothing major that Matt Rule and his staff collectively, I don't see a bad step to this point. I think that they have said all the right things, and I think they believe all the right things about the state of Nebraska in terms of where they've gone, the talent that they visited. Yeah, a couple of guys said, I like what you're saying, but I'm going to go to Iowa State. Okay, that past relationships, burn some bridges they tried to rebuild but couldn't. Zach Flores is going to Oklahoma State, couldn't repair that. We get that, but for what they've had to do and work with in the last not even 2 full months yet. I think that they've hit all the right notes, and the thing is, that's a cliche. So much so that I think as people have seen the names come in terms of who he's bringing in on his staff, that people are willing to give every single one of those coaches the benefit of the doubt. And when they've come to the microphone, they've said all the right things. I mean, RBU, that was great. Ed Foley, Matt's dad, seems to really enjoy being in Nebraska and seems to be cut from that Milt Tennefer, Dan Young cloth. I mean, everything has been great. And I think we're all anxious to hear from Jarrett McGuire as to what part-time job he'll have in addition to coaching Nebraska, so he can make enough money in addition to minimum wage. That'll be a decent salary.
The minimum wage just went up in the state.
It did.
What? I know. I mean, is he going to work at Valentino's on Friday night and then coach on Saturday?
He'll be at Lazari's. He'll be at Lazari's.
Or can direct the brass rail.
Is he old enough?
Yeah, he's 24. He'll be.
Okay. But people have been. Who's he bringing on staff? People trust Matt Rule right now on every move that he's made. That if he's bringing these guys in and everybody keeps saying the right thing, bring them on. We welcome them with open arms.
Bill, what would you have splurged at age 24 if you're going to get 6-figure money like 24-year-old McGuire is? And he's clearly mature, more mature than most 24-year-olds. Not all 24-year-olds, but a lot of us. Way the hell more than mature than I was. Well, I was calling you once a week when I was in South Dakota when I was 24. It was like making $17.5, and that buys a whole hell of a lot of chew.
I don't know. At the age of 24, I probably would have found myself in some type of condo situation in Vegas or Hawaii, but that was back in the day and a whole lifetime ago.
Uh-huh. So you would have said, I'm going to a place that's warm. Elijah's thinking video games or some sort of tech.
Yeah. For the most part. By myself,
I would have invested in real estate. Yeah, that would have been my thing.
Or I would throw a little to Danny Burke, get the inside knowledge, and reinvest that money.
A guy in the desert.
Reinvest it at the sports book.
Bill, 94-95, Nebraska finished second. Bill Conley is pretty well respected with ESPN. It's neck and neck between Georgia and Nebraska, the greatest 2-year stretch ever. We beat this up earlier in the week. I'm sure you have a take living that era.
Well, Nebraska fans need to stop paying attention to what Matt Rule is doing and start getting on the clicks so they can win in yet another ESPN poll. Now, as I recall, the 4 teams that were involved other than Nebraska in that little discussion, the other ones all had a loss of some sort, correct?
Or 2.
Nebraska was unbeaten for 2 solid years. That's one thing. But the other thing about it is, and I hate it when I hear coaches and players say after a championship season, we overcame so much. All that this team had to overcome to be. Kirby Smart said it the other day. I wrote it down. We didn't worry what everybody was saying about us. Everybody doubted us at the beginning of the year. We had a chip on our shoulder. Are you kidding me? You were preseason number 1. You were number 1 all year. You had a returning starter at a quarterback and a bunch of 5-stars all over the field. Nobody doubted Georgia this year, right? But if you go back and you think,
can I make a quick point? I did pick Oregon to cover against Georgia in week 1 in our first Friday forecast of the year. So he could be.
You were the one. You were the guy. You put the chip on Georgia's shoulder, right? Nobody doubted Georgia at all at the beginning of the season. But if you go back to 94 at Nebraska, you had Tommy Frazier with his situation. That was not just an injury. It was somewhat life-threatening. You had Brooke Berringer. You had 2 of the top quarterbacks at Nebraska, certainly in the country, that were hurt. You had Lawrence Phillips with a broken hand. That was, some things that happened in 94. And you had to win a game against an opponent on its home field in the bowl game to win the national title, all right? That was 94. The thing about 95, you talk about a team that had a lot to overcome to win with the whole Lawrence Phillips situation, the controversy that lasted for weeks, right? All the way through the final whistle of the Florida game. Okay, that team overcame a lot. So to think about what it would have been if it had had a kind of the season that Georgia did, where you really didn't have any controversy, any doubts, nothing went wrong, you just kind of cruised through the season. How dominant would that 95 Nebraska team have been had it not had the distractions and the difficulties that it had to overcome? Second, third, fourth, or fifth point on this, the option is an equalizer, right? That's why Air Force, Navy, all those teams run it because they kind of have to. Nebraska ran it because it liked to punish. So it wasn't just running the option. It was punishing with the option. It was the guys who ran the option. Some of the greatest offensive lines in the history of college football ran that option. Some of the great players. So it wasn't just that it was an equalizing offense. It was the people who ran it. That's what made 95 especially dominant. The people who ran it and overcame all that it had to overcome. People forget about that. They just think, well, Nebraska was pretty good in 95. Everything that it had to overcome for so many weeks, that was amazing. And the people that ran what they did offensively and defensively in punishing, also amazing. Look, Georgia's great. Alabama was great. USC teams were great. Nobody would have beaten 94, 95 Nebraska. And that's the final opinion on it.
Bill Doleman with us, Hail Varsity Radio at Bill Doleman
right.
on Twitter. Fight him. Do it now. Bill, a take here on Commissioner Warren as we wind down. He's off to the NFL. It's going from a Power 5 commissioner's gig to, hey, yeah, I'm in the Windy City. Now I'm in the NFL again.
It goes from 14 teams to worry about to 1.
Yeah, but I
there's a lot of love by the jocks or the smart kids around the Big Ten or even the TV people. It's like, dude, get gone.
I think maybe the time was for him to go do something different. He didn't get off to a great start. The COVID thing was kind of a disaster. Nebraska forced his hand, right? But I think that this is just, and I think it's been talked about this week, this is a stepping stone for him. He is off to the NFL for now, and he will be off to the NFL headquarters in New York. I think that's what he has his sights set on. I think he has been advised that what he has done with television or helped to do in television and the Big Ten, that's a critical thing to the NFL going forward. I think that his sights are set on replacing Roger Goodell one day as the commissioner of the NFL. I think that's the way. I think he's been advised that you have that opportunity, but you're going to have to be in the NFL in some way, shape, or form to get that done. So he had an interesting tenure with the Big Ten, but he's leaving on a high note, I think. And who replaces him with the Big Ten will be a critical decision for the conference going forward. But he's left him in a pretty good situation, TV wise and monetarily.
Bill Doleman's pitch to become the next Big Ten commissioner is what?
Well, call me.
Yeah, I'm right. You know I'm right. Just pick up the phone.
Yeah, just give me a buzz. We can talk. I got a pretty good situation right now, and I got a good, great view.
but Rosemont, is it Rosemont? Yeah, Rosemont, Illinois is also very appealing.
I think it's less about the locale and more about the zeros on the paycheck.
Speaking of Dole, you think what do you think of the salaries here? They came out here about 45 minutes ago with Satterfield making 1.4. You've got Coach Tony White making $1 million as coordinator, and you've got Foley at $550. That'll buy more than just one van down by the river. $285 for Barthel. Coop is at $670. You have Campbell, Mr. Campbell, $450, and then Donnie Raiola at $325.
I go back, 25 years ago, I don't think the staff made more than 1.5 million combined, and to see these numbers are huge. There's a lot left over in the pool. And, I think he's also made some other hires with, I think the woman who's in charge of, Texas high school athletics is coming on board. There's a chief of staff. I think that's her role. There's a general manager. We're going to have a secretary of education and transportation on this football coaching staff as well. I mean, how many more people are going to get hired? But, no wonder these guys love the Big Red, because it's go Big Green, when it comes to the 5th and the 1st and the 15th of every month. They've got a lot on their plate, and they've got a lot of money to pay for it. So that's just the way it is.
Bill Doleman. Billy D, we'll talk next week. Thanks for the time, bud.
Go Big Red.
Hail Varsity is a must-have for true Husker fans. Get a monthly magazine that'll make checking the mail fun again. Daily analysis and breaking news, including the inside scoop on recruiting on HailVarsity.com. And every June, you'll get the Nebraska Football Yearbook, a season preview completely dedicated to Nebraska football that's as comprehensive as national previews. Use that promo code AR for monthly subscriptions, that yearly promo code DB at HailVarsity.com.
Anyone who has ever needed self-storage knows what a hassle it can be. You have to rent or borrow a truck and then find someone to help you move your stuff. And let's face it, moving furniture and heavy items without damaging them isn't easy. Renting the unit is worse. The hidden fees and admin costs are scarier than the dingy facilities you're leaving your stuff in. Why not use ClosetBox instead? ClosetBox is self-storage without leaving home. They'll pick up your belongings, store them securely, and bring any item back when you need it. The best part? Unlike traditional self-storage, you only pay for what you store. No paying for unused storage space. ClosetBox's background check storage movers are licensed, bonded, and insured and will take care of all of the heavy lifting. ClosetBox's local storage centers are temperature controlled and monitored 24/7. ClosetBox has an A+ rating from the BBB. Call 877-233-5696 now for the season's best rates. Get $50 off first month storage using code Radio50. That's 877-233-5696. 877-233-5696.
After I came home from Iraq, I could still hear the booms. Makes it hard to be a good mom.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
I'm Naomi Mathis, Air Force veteran.
DAV helps veterans get the benefits they've earned.
Thanks to DAV, I was able to begin to heal.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
My victory is being able to be here for my children.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Shoo-wee, Joe, that stinks.
Girl, that ain't me. That's January. And January stinks because it's cold, boring, and I can't afford a slow start. So to speed things up, I have to do something absolutely crazy, like turning the entire month at Capital City Automax into Drive for 5.
What's Drive for 5?
Drive away today for just $5 down or get up to $5,000 more than appraised value for your trade. January stinks, so help me deodorize with Drive for 5. Does your credit stink? Don't worry. My one and only for the people credit approval process works because I understand bad things things happen to good people, and that stinks. Don't keep driving a car or truck you hate.
That stinks.
Trade with me today and get up to $5,000 more than it's worth. Not enough for down payment?
That stinks.
So drive away today in a nicer, newer car for as low as $5 down. But hurry, January stinks only until the end of the month. That's when I wipe this deal clean. I'm Joe Clemens, and I'm your dealer for the people. Come see us at Capital City Automax in Lincoln, or online at approvedbyjoe.com. Approvedbyjoe.com. www.approvedbyjoe.com.
Vehicle purchase price, actual trade allowance, all terms subject to approval, some minimum requirements.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back with you, Hail Varsity Radio, presented by Currency. We welcome in our favorite Husker NFLer and a few of his teams in the postseason this weekend. Jeremiah Sirles with us. Find him on Twitter at Sirles71_HSKR. Sirles, have you stopped by the roadside and inhaled the fresh air of Iowa? You're road tripping right now, am I right?
Yes, I'm on my way back home from Minnesota. I've been up here all week working with some clients up here at the gym that we have, O-linemen. So good to be back home for a little bit. This is my busy time of year, so anytime I can get it home, I will, and I can't get out of Iowa quick enough.
Now,
so
Sirles,
we're cruising.
You're sure none of these clients have any eligibility left? Maybe withdraw their name from the draft, go to the transfer portal, convince them to go to Nebraska. Is that possible here?
No, absolutely not. They're all going to the NFL. I will say I'm a huge fan of Walter Rouse. I've been recruiting him for 2 years for the agency. Could not be more excited that he is a Husker.
Tell me more from your eyes to the Husker fans' ears. Tackle to tackle, what do you love about him?
Yeah, so Walter's another guy. First of all, he's incredibly smart, obviously. He went to Stanford. I'm pretty sure he's going to be a mechanical engineer. So incredibly smart human being. I also love the fact that he's like 21 years old. He's super young, so he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on the body. But at the same time, he's been a multi-year starter at Stanford. He's a Stanford O-lineman. He's a road grader. But this year, he took a huge jump in his pass protection. And anytime you talk about a left tackle, especially someone that's going to possibly go to the league, pass protection is key. He had a really high grade coming out of Stanford this year, but he wanted to go back for one more year. So he's got one more year under his belt, transferred to the Big Ten. I think he's going to be a major upgrade for us at left tackle.
Talk to me about some of the options Coach Raiola has. A lot of guys who've played ball. Some have been injured. Some are trying to find their best football.
Yeah, I think obviously you got a guy in Walter you want to put at left tackle. Now you got a guy at Teddy Prohaska. The question's kind of like, now what? But our tackles have been a bit of our weak spot. I think maybe we could get Teddy to move over to right. Do his thing over there. You got Turner now. You can maybe move back inside. You get Nuri back. You're getting pieces back, and I think that's part of why Raiola was retained on the staff. He knows these guys. He knows them inside and out, and the ability to go land some big portal guys too to help bolster that depth, that offensive line. He finally has some options. I think last year we didn't have depth. We didn't have options. When things weren't going great, we didn't have somewhere to turn of like, this guy will fix us. But now we seem like we have some options, and guys will have some competition and go through spring ball, go through training camp, and find the best five.
Do you believe what Matt Rule and Satterfield say whenever they say they think the offensive line can be a strength of the team next year? It'd be a far cry from last year where they're probably the biggest weakness on the team and only a couple transfer portal additions. Do you truly believe they could be a strength of the team next year?
As a wise man once said, we'll see. I'm not sold on that. I don't like getting sold on, they're going to be a strength of the team when it's an unproven group. I think you can say an offensive line is going to be the strength of your football team when you've got a proven group that's been together a long time, done it at a high level a long time, won games because of the offensive line. That's when I can say strength of a team. Now, does that mean that they can't work their way into that? Absolutely not. But I'm not ready to say, wow, look at what these guys can do on paper when I haven't seen them do it between the white lines.
Jeremiah Sirles is with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. And Sirles, a lot of Husker fans getting higher on this offensive line because of the additions of Walter Rouse and Ben Scott. Whenever you look at those two, do you think those two guys are Big Ten ready right away? Or do you think there's going to be some work they need to put in over the next couple of months to get their bodies right for the Big Ten coming over from the Pac-12?
Yeah, obviously the Pac-12's trash, so they definitely have to make sure that they get themselves rolling a little bit more. There's a big physical nature to it. You see it happen with, as much as Ocha Mathis had a bit of an impact. You know, he came from the Big 12 and he got pushed around on the run game and kind of disappeared in the pass game, you know. So it is just a different style of play in the Big Ten. It's a grind it out. It's cold. It's making sure that you can go out there and execute, I mean, on a down-by-down basis when you're running the ball over and over again, you know. But I think of a guy like Walter specifically, you know, he comes from a Stanford program that, you know, they don't shy away from running the football. You know, there's a physical team in the Pac-12 in Stanford and Utah. You know, so I don't think he'll have a huge adjustment coming to here and what we do. And so, you know, I think there's slight adjustments, but both those guys have played a lot of football. You know, it's not going to take long for them to be able to get adjusted and get to the style of play that we're going to want.
Jeremiah Sirles spending time with us, Hail Varsity Radio, NFL Weekend. We'll get there. Overall, your takeaway with Coach Rule right now, from recruiting to staff to communication, just your observations, your feel as a former Husker.
I think he's killing it. You know, I think he's killing it. He's doing all the right things. He's talking to the right people. He's recruiting the right type of players. And, you know, he's being transparent. You know, I think that's a big thing of transparency of what he wants to do and then showing with his words, with his actions. And, you know, it all sounds great and it's all doing the right things. And at the end of the day, I hope it all comes to fruition in September, because that's when you'll be judge, jury, executioner comes during the season. You know, as we all see, you know, but at the moment, I think he's absolutely crushing it, and he's got me really excited for this Husker football season.
Is it a different excitement? You've been through the merry-go-round with the rest of us, and then you were, you know, really loyal, and you should be to a guy like Bo. So you've seen this from a player's perspective, this turnstile of coaches.
Yeah, you know, and when I say excitement, I mean excitement as I'm excited to see what it looks like. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying excitement of, ooh, we're going to win 10 games next year. You know, I think there's a different level of excitement. My excitement is like, okay, things have changed. We have new faces. We have new players. I'm excited to see what this team looks like. I'm not going to ready to anoint them kings by any means, and no one should. But I think there's a definite realistic, and everyone should be excited of the possibility and the potential of what we can see, no more, no less.
Jeremiah Sirles is with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. And when you talk about potential, Sirles, where do you think this team has potential right now as it stands for next year? I'm not talking down the road, but next year specifically, where do they have potential to you know, be able to do things well?
Yeah, you know, I think the potential for this is just to continue to grow off some of the offensive success we had this year. You know, at times it looked great, at times it looked awful, but the thing of the potential to grow in that, have some other new options. You know, you lose Trey Palmer, but you got some more options at receiver now. And then on defense, you know, the potential of just a whole new scheme and what that can look like. You know, there's the potential to going really well and potential going really bad. You know, but there's still potential on that side. And you know, defenses win championships. You know, I'm not a huge fan of the 3-3-5, but if you can make it work and you can plug it in there and do the things you need to do, it can be very effective, you know. So I think potential to have some nickels on defense that are great, and then just to keep growing on the offensive side of the ball.
So let's talk 3-3-5 for a second. You mentioned the fact that you don't quite like it, but I mean, during bowl season, we saw a lot of 3-3-5 defenses have success against their opponents. And I specifically look at TCU against Michigan. I know they still let Michigan put up 45 points, but they got the win at the end of the day, and they forced Michigan to do some things that they weren't as comfortable with. So what's your hesitation with the 3-3-5?
Anytime you only have 6 big bodies on the field, I get nervous. I get very nervous, especially when you're talking about teams that run the ball like crazy. And, you know, and a lot of guys that play the 3-3-5, you know, it's really to get turnovers, to get interceptions. You know, I don't think the 3-3-5 was created to stop the run, to stop in Iowa, to stop in Minnesota, to stop in Illinois that's going to play 12, 21 big personnel. No, it was created for the Big 12 and the Pac-12 to, when you're defending the pass over and over again, and then you're just going to rely on your 6 big guys to be able to stop the occasional run in there. You know, so there's pros and cons to the 3-3-5. You know, you get a lot of guys that can run and athletic ability cover the edges, but I just feel like at times it really leaves you really susceptible to inside run and big bodies and getting double teams and getting creases, which is why I'm just not a huge fan, which is what you saw Georgia do to TCU, was they just beat them up front, and then you really have no answer if that's your base scheme.
Sirles, NFL we go, and you get to pick one. Who's top of your list for quarterback power rankings in the playoffs?
Easy. Josh Allen. All day, every day.
Sporting News has him number 3, my friend.
good for them. When he's holding the Lombardi at the end of the day, we'll see.
Did the Bills have Super Bowl potential in your mind, Sirles, whenever you look at this? I mean, they have to go through the Chiefs in the AFC, and the Buffalo Bills in recent weeks haven't quite looked like themselves, but they do have the what should I call it? The motivation following the DeMar Hamlin injury. That's a good word to use, Sirles.
Yeah, no, trust me, I love the Bills. Obviously, I'm slightly biased, but they still have to get through Cincinnati. And I'm not writing off Cincinnati by any means. I love the teams in the AFC. I think the Dolphins are going to get beat. I think the Chargers might be able to do some noise. But overall, it's Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincy, and any three of those teams have Super Bowl potential, in my opinion. I think the Bills need to figure out some stuff on defense, but that offense can keep you in any game.
Totally agree with the offense. Jeremiah Sirles with us. So let's flip it around to the NFC. What's your best outlook for your Vikings? Captain Kirk behind center. I know you're not a Philly guy, but man, they've looked good. And then, of course, San Francisco is a big-time concern for everyone else in the NFC.
Yeah, I planted the flag on my Minneapolis podcast and everything I do. I don't think the Vikings win this weekend, personally. I think that they've had too many issues, and everyone's like, yeah, they're a 3 seed. I don't believe in them, I thought. And I think it's a two-man race between Philly and San Francisco. And right now I give the slight edge to San Francisco just because they got Deebo Samuel back. I mean, that offense is the most quarterback-friendly offense in the NFL, and Brock Purdy's operating it at a very high level, even though he is just a little guy. But you put Jalen Hurts back behind center, get him comfortable. I know he didn't look great last week, but their defense is also scary. The NFC defenses are what are going to carry them to the Super Bowl, and really what ultimately could help them win a Super Bowl. And because either one of those offenses can get hot and score a lot of points, but it's the defense that's going to really win it for the NFC.
With Philly, not only do they have your teammate Linville Joseph, but your other former teammate Ndamukong Suh, and those guys are coming off the bench.
Yeah, their twos on defense on Philly are starters on half of the NFL team. And that's what makes Philly so scary. You talk about guys like Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox. And, they lost Marquez Sweat, but, they have so many options of how they want to rush, who they want to rush, and keeping their rushers fresh that, that is a really, really tough front to have to do anything into, run or pass.
Sirles, last thought, a George Kittle story. You and Georgie trade friendly barbs on Twitter quite often.
Yes, I love Georgie. He is a special cat. My favorite George story is, I called him this year and he didn't answer after the Iowa game. He never does. But I called him, and he didn't answer. And then he just tweeted me back, and he was just like, I'm down bad, man. And it was just good because it's fun. I always wonder with those guys, because we haven't had a chance to poke back and forth. I've been taking a lot of the jabs. That, it's just fun to know that rivalry still means something to all of us. So it still matters. For guys like George Kittle and myself, everyone involved, so it's just fun to poke back and fun with that guy, and he's a madman.
Jeremiah Sirles with us, standout Husker, longtime NFLer, sports agent. And Sirles, safe travels back, bud. We'll get a beer soon, and thanks for the time today.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. Go Big Red.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing in me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new play. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Nothing is every day.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clear skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Take the wheel and take control of your auto insurance premium with the Drive for Less program from Battle Creek Mutual Insurance. When you drive safe, all roads lead to a lower cost on your auto insurance. Simply track your driving habits with your Battle Creek mobile app, and you can save up to 30% on your premium just by driving safe. Talk about driving a bargain. Download, drive, save. Get the app today from Battle Creek Mutual Insurance.
Whoa, is that an Apple HomePod Mini? The sound quality is amazing.
Heck yeah, bestie. I got it from Members Owned Credit Union when I consolidated my debt.
Wait, so you're saying when I move a credit card or loan balance over, I could drop debt faster with great interest rates and get a free HomePod Mini?
Mm-hmm. You get all that and free financial advice too.
Now that sounds like music to my ears.
Boost your financial power at Members Own. Move a pre-existing loan or credit card balance and get a free Apple HomePod Mini speaker. Restrictions apply. Go to membersowncu.org/boost for details.
Hello, neighbor. It's Animal for Super C Convenience Stores. You know, Super C is hiring friendly, helpful neighborhood people to join their Best of Lincoln team. You're going to receive competitive starting pay, great benefits, holiday pay, cash bonuses, free uniform, and the opportunity to advance with a local family-owned Nebraska business. Super C taking every precaution to keep their patrons and employees safe and healthy. If you're looking for fun, friendly, and safe work, apply today. Pick up an application at any of their 10 locations or apply online, superc.net.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Thanks for hanging out. Friday edition, Hail Varsity, presented by Currency. Schmidt and Elijah Herbel. We say hi to Brady Oltmans with Hail Varsity. Don Cotman Magazine staff writer. Brady, it's frequent flyer miles time, man, for the staff in the air and on the road. How are you?
Doing well, man. This is the kind of time where I think I initially regret not going to things in like Charlotte and the Football Coaches Association, staying home, but I go to award ceremonies, and there's plenty to keep me going on my phone, so I'm doing just fine.
And your corgi's absolutely hamming it up in the background.
Archie is just pimping you behind.
He's usually pretty good. It's a lot of writing this afternoon, but as soon as the cameras come on and everything, it's showtime for him.
That's how Gertrude is in the mornings. We're sitting at the breakfast bar, and here comes these giant ass ears, and she's got to be ready for the camera. What stuck out here to you as far as some of Nebraska's in-state travels? Let's start there.
Well, initially Ed Foley he's a journeyman. They're all getting out on the road, but for a guy that comes in and first of all, he starts, Thursday night in Greeley, meeting the Fultz family, which I think really stood out as a big character move. And kind of goes into a theme of wanting to learn things. This coaching staff wants to make an impression, but they want to know that they're making it in the right way. So they're willing to learn the traditions and history of Nebraska in order to accommodate some of those sacred honors. He stopped in Grand Island. He stopped at Donovan Trumbull, which I was like, when was the last time any good football player came out of Donovan Trumbull? Shout outs, beat you guys back in the day. But
wow. You've been waiting all day for that.
He's been salty. He's like, dude, Donovan Trumbull?
Oh, you got to. I don't hear about him very often, so
Were you an option quarterback or a spread quarterback?
Oh no, man! I was strictly 8-man tight end.
Okay.
And lineman. So we were on the trenches back then. And Foley, I guess, stopping at York and Seward too. That's just a good swing.
Hitting chances are, man.
I'm really curious to know what he got, because
he got the prime rib, dude. It's
if you're going, you got to.
Yeah, don't come home unless you got the prime rib.
Oh, see, I made a mistake. I've been to Chances Are once after umpiring in York, and I did not get the prime rib.
Why?
I didn't know you had to.
Oh, absolutely.
That's my bad.
That's Coach Brett's hometown. They got a statue of him eating prime rib there.
I don't believe that one bit.
But Coach Foley is out. Of course, Coach White hitting West Side, hitting Omaha North, and we know how talented West Side's trio is for 2024 and beyond. Nebraska's in-state, but also of course, Arizona. We think reading the hieroglyphics, maybe a Raiola rendezvous today.
Yeah, I mean, that one, Rule kind of alluded to it in a tweet, I believe. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but there was a different high school in Arizona that confirmed that Coach Raiola was in.
Where Bobby Newcomb's at. Mm-hmm.
Yep, you're right. They confirmed a Raiola sighting. So reading through the tea leaves there, and word on the street is that they're both down in Arizona, while EJ Barthel is out in Connecticut doing some recruiting. And I believe, not sure if he's down there per se, but Garrett McGuire offered a kid out of Texas, so he might be back down in Texas on the recruiting trail this weekend. So they really are kind of casting the wide net and crossing the whole nation right now.
If you're Matt Rule, do you get Coach Raiola involved in the recruitment of Dylan, or is that something where it'd be a weird experience for a high school kid to be getting recruited and your uncle walks in the door, the guy you've been seeing every single Christmas for since you were born, and now he's got a recruiting pitch for you? That just feels weird to me. And I know I'm not a recruit, and I was never a high level athlete like that, so never had D1 coaches coming and visiting me. So maybe I'm off here.
You went to camps though.
You saw it, and then I envisioned this my uncle walking in the door trying to recruit me. It'd just be a weird experience.
Hey, Uncle Donnie, need a beer? Not a margarita.
Oh, you went there.
Well, I think that there's got to be some sort of introduction to the family, because Rule's a big connections guy. I think he values that familial connection when they have it. I think he's genuine about connections. I'm sure that Donovan likes to see his family when he's in the area. So I don't know if it's necessarily like, hey, we want Coach Raiola in here while we're talking shop, or if it's kind of a, hey, we're gonna, if you want to step out or so, whatever it is for comfort level's sake. Because I think it potentially could be kind of weird hearing, your nephew get a recruiting pitch to the school you coach at. But, these things happen now. There's so many different connections, different relations to recruits and coaches all over the place. I think they've kind of learned how to operate and work how it turns out for the best.
And that's a good point you make about the relationships and the familiarity, where Coach Donnie can get your foot in the door and it's just a casual stop. Coach Raiola's visiting his family. Matt Rule just happens to be there until it's not. I get what you're saying now. It's a good point you made.
Yeah. I mean, that's the baseline that they go. That's what we heard, some of the assistants talk about a little bit earlier, or I guess on Thursday. They just kind of said, we don't really have a recruiting pitch. We just kind of go about, building a connection with these guys. And I think that's the baseline barometer for what they're going for.
Brady Oltmans with us here at Hale Varsity. Brady, a thought here, some SEC flavor potentially this weekend. Brett Seether, tight end that's in the portal from Georgia this weekend, if not tonight, but this weekend, supposed to be in Lincoln. An update there. And also MJ Sherman, outside linebacker that saw some special teams action. And Georgia's also got, I think, an offensive tackle departing as well.
Yeah, I was really kind of curious to see how many Georgia guys ended up declaring for the portal. I figured that there would be a few of them. Most of them, it became evident that they were going to wait until, the end of the season, maybe, because if you can play in the national championship, you want to play in the national championship and keep your, wait until the very last moment. I'm really curious because this is another one. Obviously, they were recruited by Georgia, very talented high school kids going in, and their iron sharpens iron in the practice field. They just couldn't, break through and get legitimate playing time at the dynasty right now in college football. I think that they're good fits at Nebraska if they can come in. Obviously, getting a stronger tight end room would definitely help out and fit Satterfield's system. And then anytime you can get any sort of help on the offensive line or any potential defensive help as well, they're going to want that.
Brady, before we get out of here, let's go to the phone lines where Barry and Donovan checks in.
Barry, turn your radio down. Be kind to Brady. Brady, this is Barry and Donovan. Some rivalry smack we need to explore here. Barry, go ahead.
Hey, Brady, this is Barry from Donovan, and I heard you throw some shade there to Donovan Trumbull, and I wanted to remind you that we did win a state championship in 2013, first in a long time, maybe first ever, I'm not sure. Undefeated season as well. So, bada boom.
Got to answer to that
one. That's true. That's
Brady's like, not on my watch.
No, that's a good point. Missed me by a couple of years, I guess 5 or so years, but that's a good point.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, Brady, where are you from?
Lawrence Nelson.
Oh, Lawrence Nelson. Okay. Well, go Big Red, go DT, and thanks for having me on.
Hey, appreciate the call. There we go. We unite all corners of the state right here.
South
Brady's
Central
like,
Nebraska, man. It's
I love it. Hey, I got 2 more questions for you, Brady. Hang on for us, okay?
Will do. All
right, Brady Oltmans with us. Hail Varsity winds down next.
Shit! Wait, Joe, that stinks.
Girl, that ain't me. That's January, and January stinks because it's cold, boring, and I can't afford a slow start. So to speed things up, I have to do something absolutely crazy, like turning the entire month at Capital City Automax into Drive for 5.
What's Drive for 5?
Drive away today for just $5 down or get up to $5,000 more than appraised value for your trade. January stinks, so help me deodorize with Drive for 5. Does your credit stink? Don't worry. My one and only for the people credit approval process works because I understand bad things happen to good people, and that stinks. Don't keep driving a car or truck you hate.
That stinks.
Trade with me today and get up to $5,000 more than it's worth. Not enough for down payment? That stinks. So drive away today in a nicer, newer car for as low as $5 down. But hurry, January stinks only until the end of the month. That's when I wipe this deal clean. I'm Joe Clemens, and I'm your dealer for the people. Come see us at Capital City Automax in Lincoln or online at approvedbyjoe.com. Approvedbyjoe.com. www.approvedbyjoe.com.
Vehicle purchase price, actual trade allowance, all terms subject to approval, some minimum requirements.
Have you ever noticed that when the afternoon light hits your floors, you can see everything, including dust?
So much dust.
And that floor dust gets kicked up into the air, compromising the quality of air you and your family breathe. Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper is the fast and easy way to clean your floors with ultra-thick pads that trap and lock dust before it gets in the air. Just a couple minutes a day.
And dust is gone.
Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper. Proud partner of the American Lung Association.
Is this how you feel day after day? Like you've been hit by a truck? Limitless can fix that. Don't spend another day feeling like Limitless Mail has solutions to eliminate sleepless nights, belly fat, lack of energy, muscle loss, lack of focus. Limitless Mail providers are experts in hormone replacement, peptide therapy, and ED. Get ready to feel great again. Schedule a free consult at limitlessmail.com. Insurance accepted.
My name is Rebecca. I struggled with depression for years. I also smoked. That was my world. Finally, I realized that smoking wasn't helping me. It was making my life worse. So I took control and I quit. Now I'm able to run again and take walks with my grandkids. My tip is there's another world out there, and it's a beautiful place to be.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
I'm weatherology meteorologist Patrick McMillan with your Capital City forecast. For tonight, partly cloudy skies and a low of 25 degrees. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and a high of 47. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy with a low of 33 degrees. That's the forecast on Lincoln's ESPN. Right now, it's 29.
Get your sports fix here. ESPN Lincoln is on the air at 101.5 FM and 1480 AM. Online at espnlincoln.com. Miss us?
Come here, brother. Give me a hug. Bring it in for the real thing.
We're on call for you. Catch the podcast at hailvarsity.com, the ESPN Lincoln app, or download them on iTunes.
Satellite partner.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time, Chris Schmidt and Elijah Herbel, Hail Varsity Friday edition. Brady Oltmans with us, staff writer, hailvarsity.com and magazine. And find him at Brady Oltmans on Twitter. Brady, just real quick, bud, thanks for your time here this last half. And Dr. Susan Elza, athletic director of the governing body for public high schools in Texas, going to be chief of staff for Coach Rule. What's your reaction there?
Well, I think they obviously have a great relationship and connection from his time down in Texas. Not only the coaches, but administrators in Texas, especially for football and intergalactic sports. They have a high respect for Matt Rule and what he's done. And I think bringing her in is a is a big deal in terms of building Nebraska football and building it on a national scale. I guess one of the things that he said during the American Football Coaches Association convention this last weekend is really he wanted people that were grinders, and he wanted enthusiastic people to take it the next step in its rebuilding process. And I think that might be one of the things, although she's mostly an off the field role, that I think that's mostly the motivation behind that.
And quickly, CJ Cavazos, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, former XFL executive. He's been running a recruiting website down in Texas, helping get some Texas kids on the radar of some Division I schools. What's your read on him? And sounds like he's coming to be director of football relations.
Yeah, he's another guy with, huge recruiting background. He's a couple of old Texas quarterbacks for the Longhorns. They have gone through. They have a good relationship with them. A couple of other college guys, their names I'm blanking on, but he's helped develop some pretty good Division I talent, and a couple of guys go through. And obviously, has that front office experience of the XFL, albeit a weird situation with the XFL and coming back for this year. So I think these are guys that Matt Rule knows and can trust to do their roles. And I'm curious as he kind of makes the final moves to the kind of front office or back end of the staff, how that's going to turn out, and really what all their responsibilities are going to be.
Brady, what are you working on here this weekend? Here, about 30 seconds, bud.
Oh man, just toying away with some stories. I'll be at the Remington Awards on Saturday and kind of doing some light work stories, finishing up the last major recruiting story for this upcoming edition of the magazine. So we're in good shape.
Good stuff. Get your subscription today, hailvarsity.com/offer. Get the annual subscription, the yearbook in the month of June, but of course the digital content you got to have as a Nebraska fan. Brady, take care. We'll maybe bump into you this weekend.
Good deal, man. We'll see you guys.
There he is. And Brady Oltmans with us. Big thanks to Jeremiah Sirles, Bill Doleman, of course, Brady, and Jacob Padilla. Loaded Friday. Get the podcast, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, the whole show there for your download enjoyment, or the segmentized portions. Go a la carte if you choose. Catch it all. Hail Varsity YouTube channel and Hail Varsity's radio Twitter handle as well, at HVarsity Radio. Catch us in the afternoon. Coffee and Cream, Damon Benning, Andrew Rogers. Mornings 7 to 9. Buckle up this weekend. Buckle up all the time. Hands on the wheel, eyes and mind straight ahead. The driver one job. That's to drive. A message from the Nebraska Department of Highway Safety. Talk to you tomorrow at 7 on the weekend edition. Take care.
This is Jim Rome with your Rome Report. Is there any bigger buzzkill